The courtroom felt like ice. Rebecca sat at the plaintiff's table, her hands folded tight in her lap, trying not to shake. Across the aisle, her ex-husband Marcus lounged in his chair like he owned the building. Next to him sat Vanessa, blonde, polished, and wearing a smile that could cut glass. Rebecca had known this day would come. Ever since Marcus filed for full custody of their daughter Emma, she'd been preparing. But nothing could truly prepare a mother for the possibility of losing her child. It had been 18 months since their divorce. 18 months since Rebecca discovered Marcus had been living a double life, expensive vacations with Vanessa, while claiming he couldn't afford child support. Luxury purchases while telling Rebecca he was barely scraping by. A whole secret existence built on lies. The divorce had been brutal. Marcus hired the most expensive lawyer in the state, a shark named Gerald Pace, who specialized in destroying opposing parties. Rebecca couldn't afford anyone like that. She'd found a decent attorney named Helen Morris, who worked for reasonable rates, but Rebecca knew they were outgunned. Marcus had money. Lots of it. His family owned a chain of car dealerships across 3 states, and though he'd hidden his wealth during the marriage, it all came out during divorce proceedings. Not enough to change the settlement much. He'd been clever about that, but enough to prove he'd been lying to Rebecca for years. Now he wanted Emma. Full custody. He claimed Rebecca was unstable, that she couldn't provide properly, that Emma would be better off living with him and Vanessa in their enormous house with its pool and game room and every luxury a child could want. Rebecca lived in a modest 2-bedroom apartment. She worked as a teacher, making enough to cover bills, but not much more. Marcus's lawyers had painted her as struggling, barely capable. Certainly not as good a parent as Marcus and his new partner could be. The judge entered, the Honorable Catherine Wells. A woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and an expression that gave nothing away. Everyone rose, then sat again as she settled behind the bench. Judge Wells reviewed the case file silently for what felt like hours. Finally, she looked up. "This is a custody modification hearing," she said. "Mr. Hammond is seeking full physical custody of the minor child, Emma Hammond, age 8. Ms. Hammond opposes this motion. Mr. Pace, you may present your opening statement." Gerald Pace stood smoothly. He was tall, silver-haired, the kind of man who commanded attention simply by existing. "Thank you, Your Honor. We will demonstrate that Mr. Hammond can provide a superior environment for Emma. He has a stable home, significant financial resources, and a committed partner in Ms. Vanessa Clark, who's already formed a strong bond with the child." Rebecca felt her stomach twist. Vanessa had only met Emma 6 times. 6 supervised visits where she brought expensive gifts and acted like Mary Poppins. Emma had been polite but confused. She didn't understand who this woman was or why she was suddenly so important. Ms. Hammond, on the other hand, Pace continued, struggles financially. She works long hours. She cannot provide the educational opportunities, extracurricular activities, or quality of life that Mr. Hammond can offer. This isn't about love. Both parents clearly care for Emma. This is about what's best for the child's future. He sat down, looking satisfied. Rebecca wanted to scream. Everything he'd said was technically true, but completely misleading. Yes, she worked long hours because she was a dedicated teacher who also volunteered for after-school programs. Yes, she couldn't afford expensive camps, but she and Emma spent summers reading together, visiting free museums, making memories that mattered. Helen Morris stood for the defense. She was shorter, rounder, less polished than Pace, but her voice was steady. "Your Honor, this case is about what's truly best for Emma, not what looks best on paper. Ms. Hammond has been Emma's primary caregiver since birth. She has never missed a parent-teacher conference, a doctor's appointment, or a school event. Emma is thriving academically and emotionally in her mother's care. Mr. Hammond, meanwhile, frequently cancels his visitation weekends, and has shown limited interest in Emma's daily life. Marcus leaned over and whispered something to Pace. Both men smiled slightly. Rebecca's blood ran cold. They knew something. They had something planned. Judge Wells listened impassively. We'll hear testimony from both parties, along with any witnesses. Mr. Pace, call your first witness. The defense calls Mr. Marcus Hammond. Marcus stood and walked to the witness stand with the confidence of someone who'd never lost anything in his life. He was sworn in and sat down, adjusting his expensive suit. Rebecca watched him carefully. She knew his tells, the slight twitch of his jaw when he was lying, the way his hands moved when he was performing. Right now, he looked relaxed, genuine, like a concerned father who just wanted what was best for his daughter. It made her want to vomit. Gerald. Pace approached Marcus with the ease of a choreographed dance. They'd clearly rehearsed this. Mr. Hammond, can you describe your relationship with your daughter Emma? Marcus's face softened perfectly, expertly. Emma is everything to me. She's smart, creative, funny. Being her father is the greatest privilege of my life. Rebecca bit her tongue. Marcus had forgotten Emma's last 3 birthdays and missed her school play because he'd been golfing with clients. And why are you seeking full custody? Because I want to give Emma opportunities Rebecca simply can't provide. Marcus's voice carried just the right note of regret. I have the resources to send her to the best schools, provide tutoring if she needs it, give her music lessons, sports, travel experiences. I want her to have every advantage. Does Ms. Hammond prevent you from providing these things now? She resists them. Last month, I offered to pay for Emma to attend an elite summer camp, art, music, horseback riding. Rebecca refused. She said it was too extravagant, and Emma didn't need it. But children thrive when they're given opportunities to explore their interests. Rebecca scribbled a note to Helen. He didn't mention the camp was 6 hours away for 8 weeks. Emma didn't want to go. Helen nodded, writing her own notes. Pace continued. Can you tell the court about your home environment? Vanessa and I have a 4-bedroom house in Riverside Oaks. Emma has her own room there, completely decorated to her preferences. We have a pool, a media room, a backyard where she can play. Vanessa has been wonderful with Emma. She's patient, caring, really invested in being a positive presence in her life. Judge Wells interrupted. Mr. Hammond, how long have you and Miss Clark been together? 2 years, Your Honor. And you were married to Ms. Hammond for how long before the separation? 10 years. So your relationship with Miss Clark began while you were still married? Marcus hesitated just briefly. Our marriage had been troubled for some time. Rebecca and I had grown apart. I met Vanessa after we'd essentially separated emotionally. It was a lie. Rebecca had proof text messages, receipts, photos that Marcus and Vanessa had been together for 3 years, starting long before any marital problems. But the divorce was final. The judge couldn't change that now. Continue, Mr. Pace. Mr. Hammond, can you describe Ms. Hammond's current living situation? She has a 2-bedroom apartment in an older building. It's adequate, I suppose, but small. Emma's room barely fits her bed and dresser. There's no yard, no space for friends to visit comfortably. And the neighborhood isn't the safest. Another half-truth. The apartment was in a perfectly safe, working-class neighborhood. But compared to Marcus's gated community, anywhere would seem lesser. Do you have concerns about Emma's welfare and Miss Hammond's care? I worry she's being raised with limited horizons. Rebecca means well, but she can't see beyond her own circumstances. Emma deserves more than just adequate. She deserves excellence. The arrogance in his voice made Rebecca's fists clench under the table. Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Your witness. Ms. Morris. Helen stood slowly, gathering her papers. Rebecca recognized the tactic. Helen was giving Marcus time to get comfortable, to think he'd won. Mr. Hammond, you testified that being Emma's father is your greatest privilege. Is that correct? Absolutely. Can you tell me Emma's teacher's name? Marcus blinked. Her teacher? Yes, her current teacher. Emma's in 3rd grade, correct? Mrs. Peterson? It's Miss Angela Foster. She's been Emma's teacher since September. That's 9 months ago. Marcus shifted slightly. I meet with the teachers during conferences. I don't necessarily memorize. When was the last parent-teacher conference? Rebecca usually handles those. So you haven't attended a single conference this year? My work schedule is demanding. I see. Can you tell me what Emma's favorite subject is? She likes art, I think. She's creative. It's actually science. She wants to be a marine biologist. She talks about it constantly. Helen consulted her notes. Can you tell me Emma's best friend's name? That changes at this age. Kids are always Sophie Martinez. They've been best friends since kindergarten. 3 years. Helen's voice remained pleasant, but each question landed like a hammer. When was Emma's last doctor's appointment? Rebecca schedules those. 2 weeks ago. Routine checkup. Did Rebecca inform you about it? She might have mentioned. She sent you 3 emails and left 2 voicemails. You didn't respond to any of them. Marcus's jaw tightened to tell Rebecca knew. He was getting angry. Mr. Hammond, you testified you want full custody to provide opportunities. But you've missed the last 6 scheduled visitation weekends. Why is that? Work obligations. Business travel. Things come up. Things come up more important than seeing your daughter? I'm building a future for her. No, you're building a future for yourself. When you do see Emma, how much time do you actually spend with her versus time spent on your phone or computer? I make time for her. Emma's therapist notes indicate that during visits, you frequently work from home while Vanessa entertains Emma. Is that accurate? Marcus glanced at his liar. Sometimes I need to handle business matters. So Miss Clark is effectively doing your parenting for you. Vanessa is great with Emma. That's a positive thing. Certainly. But you're asking for full custody based on your parenting abilities, not Miss Clark's. Helen paused. Mr. Hammond, how much child support are you currently paying? $2,000 a month. And how much did you spend on your recent vacation to Aruba? Objection, Pace said. Relevance? Your Honor, it goes to Mr. Hammond's claim that he wants to provide for Emma while simultaneously fighting every requested increase in child support. I'll allow it, Judge Wells said. Answer the question, Mr. Hammond. Marcus's face reddened. Around $15,000. $15,000 for a week-long vacation. But you contested Rebecca's request for an additional $500 monthly to cover Emma's therapy and tutoring. That's different. How? The vacation was a one-time thing. You've taken 4 similar trips in the past year. That's $60,000 in vacation expenses while fighting an increase that would total $6,000 annually for your daughter's needs. Pace stood. Your Honor, Ms. Morris is badgering the witness. I'm establishing a pattern of priorities, Helen countered. Judge Wells considered. I'll allow the line of questioning, but move it along, Miss Morris. Mr. Hammond, you want full custody. But based on your testimony, you don't know Emma's teacher, her best friend, her favorite subject, or her career aspirations. You miss scheduled visits regularly. You spend more on personal luxuries than on her essential needs. Help me understand how giving you full custody serves Emma's best interests. Marcus leaned forward, and for just a moment, Rebecca saw the real him, the cold, calculating man behind the concerned father mask. Because I can give her a better life than Rebecca ever could. Is that so wrong? The courtroom fell silent. Judge Wells called a 15-minute recess. Rebecca practically ran to the hallway, Her chest tight. Helen followed her out. You okay? He's going to win. Rebecca's voice shook. Did you see how confident he is? The judge is going to think he's this great father who just wants to provide, and I'm going to lose Emma. Rebecca, breathe. We're not done yet. He has unlimited money for lawyers. He can make me look like I'm barely surviving. He can paint his cheating, lying, absent parenting as somehow better than... Stop. Helen gripped Rebecca's shoulders gently. I know you're scared, but Marcus showed his cards in there. He doesn't know his daughter. That matters to judges, especially to Judge Wells. How do you know? Because I've been in a courtroom 20 times. She doesn't care about money or fancy houses. She cares about which parent shows up. And you show up, Rebecca. Every single day. Rebecca wanted to believe her, but she'd learned the hard way that money and charm could win against truth. They returned to the courtroom. Judge Wells called for the next witness. The defense calls Ms. Vanessa Clark. Vanessa stood gracefully, her designer dress perfectly tailored, her makeup flawless. She took the stand and was sworn in, then settled into the chair with a confident smile. Pace approached her warmly. Miss Clark, thank you for being here. Can you describe your relationship with Emma? Emma is a wonderful little girl. When Marcus and I got together, I knew his daughter would be an important part of our lives. I've made every effort to build a relationship with her, spending time together, learning her interests, trying to be a positive female role model. Rebecca's hands tightened. Vanessa had barely spent 30 hours total with Emma, and most of those visits involved buying Emma things while Marcus worked. What role do you see yourself playing in Emma's life if Mr. Hammond is granted custody? I'd be there to support her in every way. Help with homework, drive her to activities, be someone she can talk to. I'd never try to replace Rebecca, she's Emma's mother, but I could offer additional stability and support. Do you work, Miss Clark? I'm a freelance interior designer, so I have a flexible schedule. I can be available for Emma whenever she needs me. Thank you. Your witness. Helen stood, but before she could speak, Judge Wells interrupted. Ms. Morris, I have some questions for this witness first, if you don't mind. Of course. Your Honor. Judge Wells turned her sharp gaze on Vanessa. Miss Clark, you testified you want to be a positive role model for Emma. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And you believe your relationship with Mr. Hammond is a healthy model for her to observe? Vanessa hesitated, clearly not expecting this question. Yes. Marcus and I have a strong, committed relationship. A relationship that began while he was still married to Emma's mother. The courtroom went very quiet. Marcus's marriage was already over when... That's not what I asked. Did your romantic relationship with Mr. Hammond begin before his divorce was finalized? Vanessa glanced at Marcus, then Pace. Technically, yes, but... So Emma's role model for relationships is a woman who had an affair with a married man? Your Honor, Pace objected, Miss Clark's personal choices are absolutely relevant when she's asking to be given a parenting role. Judge Wells interrupted sharply. I'm trying to understand what values Emma would learn in this household. She turned back to Vanessa. Miss Clark, how many of Emma's school events have you attended? I'm not sure exactly. Have you attended any? The timing hasn't worked out yet. Have you met Emma's best friend? Not formally, no. Her teacher? No. Her pediatrician? These are things Marcus handles, except he doesn't handle them. Ms. Hammond handles them. So neither of you are actively involved in Emma's daily life, yet you're asking me to remove her from the only parent who has shown consistent engagement. Judge Wells leaned back. Help me understand your reasoning. Vanessa's composure cracked slightly. We could provide her with so much more. Better schools, better opportunities. Better than a mother who knows her daughter's teacher, her best friend, her dreams? Better than stability and consistency? Judge Wells shook her head slightly. Continue your examination, Miss Morris. Helen smiled. No further questions, Your Honor. Vanessa stepped down, her confidence visibly shaken. Marcus looked furious. The defense calls Rebecca Hammond. Rebecca's heart hammered as she took the stand. She was sworn in and sat down, trying not to show how terrified she felt. Helen approached gently. Rebecca, can you tell the court about your daily routine with Emma? Rebecca took a breath. I wake Emma up at 6:45. We have breakfast together, usually oatmeal or eggs, something nutritious. I drop her at school by 8, then teach my own classes until 3. I pick Emma up at 3:30. We do homework together, then she has free time while I prep dinner. We eat together every night, talk about our days. Bedtime is 8:30 after books and prayers. What do you do on weekends? We go to the library, visit parks, sometimes museums when they have free days. We bake together. We do art projects. She has playdates with Sophie. We just spend time together. Does Emma seem happy in your care? She's thriving. Her grades are excellent. She has close friends. She's confident and curious. She's everything a parent could hope for. Thank you. Your witness, Mr. Pace. Pace stood slowly, predatory. Ms. Hammond, you testified you work full-time as a teacher. What are your annual earnings? About $48,000. And your rent? $1,500 a month. So nearly 40% of your income goes to housing? That's standard in our area, leaving you with limited resources for extras, vacations, camps, special opportunities. We manage fine. Fine, but Mr. Hammond could provide excellent. Don't you want that for Emma? I want Emma to be loved and secure, which she is, even if that means she misses out on opportunities other children have. She's not missing out. She has everything that matters. Does she? Or are you just telling yourself that because you can't afford better? Helen objected. Argumentative. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Pace. But the damage was done. Pace had planted the seed. Maybe Rebecca wasn't enough dot after Rebecca's testimony. Judge Wells called for another recess. Rebecca met with Helen in a small conference room. They're going to win, Rebecca said flatly. I can't compete with unlimited money. This isn't about money, isn't it? Marcus can offer everything I can't. Maybe Emma would be better off. Don't. Helen's voice was sharp. Don't you dare finish that sentence. Emma needs her mother, not a bigger house. But what if the judge? Judge Wells is smart. She sees through the performance. Trust me, Rebecca wanted to believe her. But trust was hard when you've been lied to for years. They returned to the courtroom. Judge Wells looked at both parties. I'm going to hear from the guardian ad litem now. Ms. Patricia Reeves, you've been assigned to this case to represent Emma's best interests. What are your findings? Patricia Reeves stood a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She'd interviewed Emma multiple times, observed both households, reviewed all the evidence. Your Honor, I spent considerable time with Emma and both parents. My recommendation is that custody remain with Miss Hammond. Marcus's face went pale. Emma has a strong, healthy relationship with her mother. She feels secure and loved. When I asked Emma about her ideal living situation, she said she wanted to stay with her mom. She enjoys visiting her father, but finds the visits stressful because she doesn't know what to expect. Sometimes he's engaged. Sometimes he's working. She doesn't have a real connection with Miss Clark yet. What about Mr. Hammond's ability to provide enhanced opportunities? Emma is already enrolled in a good school and performing well. She's happy with her current activities. When I asked if she wanted horseback lessons or art camp, she said she'd rather spend time with her mom at home. Children need stability and emotional connection more than material advantages. Pace stood. Ms. Reeves, Isn't it true that children don't always know what's best for them? Children know who makes them feel safe. Emma feels safe with her mother. But if she could have both safety and opportunity, she already has that. Ms. Hammond provides emotional safety. Mr. Hammond can provide opportunities during his visitation time. Joint custody allows Emma the benefits of both parents without disrupting her primary home. Judge Wells nodded. Thank you, Ms. Reeves. She looked at both tables. I'd like to hear closing arguments, but first I have a question for Mr. Hammond. Marcus stood warily. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Hammond, I want you to think very carefully before answering. If I grant you full custody, what will your daily routine with Emma look like? Specifically, not generally. Who will wake her up? Who will make her breakfast? Who will take her to school? Who will help with homework? Who will attend parent-teacher conferences? Who will handle doctor appointments? Who will be there when she's sick, scared, or struggling? Will it be you, or will you delegate all of that to Miss Clark and hired help while you continue working 60-hour weeks? The courtroom was absolutely silent. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Your Honor, Vanessa would help with. That's what I thought. Judge Wells's voice was cold. You're not asking for custody because you want a parent, Emma. You're asking for custody to win. To prove you can. To maintain control. But Emma isn't a prize to be won, Mr. Hammond. She's a child who needs a parent who shows up. I can change my schedule. Why haven't you already? You've had 8 years to show up for your daughter. Instead, you've missed birthdays, school events, and regular visitation. Now suddenly you want full custody. I don't believe your motivations are pure. Marcus's face flushed deep red. Your Honor, with all respect, Rebecca can't provide. She's provided everything that actually matters. Love, stability, presence. Those aren't things money can buy, Mr. Hammond. Rebecca felt tears sliding down her face. Judge Wells continued. I've presided over hundreds of custody cases. I've seen wealthy parents who show up and poor parents who neglect their children. I've seen modest homes filled with love and mansions filled with emptiness. What matters is which parent puts the child first. And the evidence clearly shows the parent is Miss Hammond. Pace stood. Your Honor, we'd like to sit down, Mr. Pace. I'm not finished. Judge Wells looked directly at Marcus. Mr. Hammond, I'm going to tell you something I wish someone had told my own father years ago. Your daughter doesn't need your money. She needs you. Actually, you, not the person you hired to replace you. If you genuinely want to be a better father, I encourage that. Increase your involvement during your visitation time. Show up for her events. Learn about her life. But don't take her away from the only parent who has consistently done those things. Marcus sat down heavily. Judge Wells picked up her gavel. This court finds insufficient evidence to modify custody. Physical custody remains with Miss Hammond. Mr. Hammond's visitation schedule will continue as established. However, I'm ordering family counseling for Mr. Hammond and Emma to work on their relationship. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell. Rebecca couldn't breathe. She'd won. Emma was staying with her. Helen grabbed her hand and squeezed. I told you. Across the aisle, Marcus was arguing furiously with Pace, while Vanessa looked stunned. Neither of them glanced at Rebecca Dodd. She didn't care. She had her daughter. Rebecca left the courtroom in a daze. Helen walked her to the hallway where they could talk privately. I can't believe it, Rebecca whispered. Believe it. Judge Wells saw through everything. But Marcus will appeal. Let him try. The Guardian ad litem's report and Emma's own preferences carry enormous weight. An appeal would be expensive and unlikely to succeed. My guess is Pace will advise him to drop it. Rebecca leaned against the wall, overwhelmed. I need to pick up Emma from school. Go. Be with your daughter. We'll handle the paperwork. In June, Emma's school held an end-of-year celebration. Rebecca attended, watching Emma receive an award for academic achievement. Emma beamed from the stage, looking directly at Rebecca. Afterward, Emma's teacher pulled Rebecca aside. Emma is such a joy to teach. She's curious, kind, hardworking. You should be incredibly proud. I am, Rebecca said, her voice thick with emotion. Can I tell you something? Emma wrote an essay last month about her hero. She wrote about you. The teacher pulled out a paper. I saved it because it was so beautiful. Can I read you part of it? Rebecca nodded, unable to speak. My hero is my mom. She works really hard and always has time for me. She makes everything fun even when we don't have a lot of money. She taught me that being rich means having people who love you, not having lots of stuff. When I grow up, I want to be just like her, strong and kind and always there for the people I love. Rebecca cried right there in the school hallway, and she didn't care who saw. That night, after Emma was asleep, Rebecca sat on her balcony again. She thought about the past 2 years, the discovery of Marcus's lies, the painful divorce, the terrifying custody battle, the struggle to rebuild. She'd been so afraid of losing Emma, but in fighting for her daughter, she'd found herself. She wasn't the woman Marcus had tried to convince her she was inadequate. Lucky to be loved, barely capable of survival. She was strong, resourceful, loving, and more than enough exactly as she was. Marcus's cruelty had been designed to break her. Instead, it had forged her into something stronger. A year after the custody hearing, Rebecca received an unexpected email from Marcus. Subject line, I'm sorry. She almost deleted it. But curiosity won. Rebecca, I know you have no reason to listen to me. I don't deserve your attention or forgiveness. But I need to say this. You were right about everything. I was a terrible husband and a worse father. I spent years tearing you down because I was insecure. I fought for custody not because I wanted to be a better parent, but because I couldn't stand losing. Judge Wells called me out perfectly. Emma was a prize to win, not a daughter to love. I spent this year in therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did, trying to become someone better. I'm not asking for another chance with you or with Emma. I destroyed those relationships beyond repair. But I wanted you to know that you were always more than enough. The problem was never you. It was always me. Emma is lucky to have you. I was lucky to have you, and I threw it away because I was too broken to see what I had. I hope someday Emma might want to know me again. But I understand if she doesn't. I earned her indifference. Take care of yourself and our daughter. Marcus. Rebecca read it twice. Then she closed the laptop. She didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Marcus's realization had come too late to matter, but she appreciated the acknowledgement. Not for closure, she'd already found that, but because it confirmed what she'd always known. She had never been the problem. In August, Emma started 4th grade. She was thriving, good grades, close friendships, involvement in art club and science club. She rarely mentioned her father anymore. One evening, doing homework at the kitchen table, Emma looked up suddenly. Mom, can I ask you something? Always. Why doesn't Daddy visit anymore? Rebecca chose her words carefully. Your dad has a lot going on in his life. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that hurt people they love. That's not your fault, and it doesn't mean he doesn't care about you. Do you think he loves me? I think he loves you in the way he's able to. But some people aren't good at showing love. That's their struggle, not your failure. Emma nodded slowly, processing. I'm glad I live with you. Me too, sweetheart. You always show up. That's important. Rebecca felt tears sting her eyes. You're right. Showing up is everything. Emma went back to her homework. The conversation closed. She'd asked her question and gotten an answer she could understand. She was moving on. Children were remarkable that way, resilient, adaptive, able to accept reality and keep growing. In September, Rebecca started dating again, casually, carefully. She'd built a full life with Emma, her career, and her friendships. She didn't need a partner, but she was open to finding one eventually. She went on a few coffee dates with men from a teacher's mixer. Most were perfectly nice, but not quite right. Then she met Daniel, a librarian who made her laugh and asked thoughtful questions and showed genuine interest in Emma without trying to replace her father. They took it slow, very slow. Rebecca was cautious now, attuned to red flags she'd missed with Marcus. After 3 months, she introduced Daniel to Emma. They met at a park where Emma could run around, and they could talk casually without pressure. Emma liked him immediately. "He's funny, Mom, and he likes books like me." "He is funny," Rebecca agreed. That night, after Emma was in bed, Rebecca called her mother. "I think I'm healing," she said. "Really healing. I'm not scared anymore." "You were always strong, baby," her mother said. "You just had to remember it." By October, Rebecca's life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Work was fulfilling. Emma was thriving. Daniel was a steady, kind presence. She had close friends and family nearby. She'd rebuilt everything Marcus had tried to destroy, and it was better than before because it was authentic. No lies, no hidden lives, just honest, healthy connections. One evening, going through old photos to create a scrapbook for Emma, Rebecca found pictures from her wedding. She and Marcus, young and smiling, looked genuinely happy. Happiness been real? Or had Marcus been performing even then? She'd never know. But it didn't matter anymore. She put the photos in an envelope for Emma. Someday, her daughter might want to see them, to know her parents had once been in love. Or maybe she wouldn't. Either way, Rebecca would let Emma decide. In November, Emma's class did a project about gratitude. Each child wrote about something they were thankful for. Emma's teacher sent Rebecca a photo of Emma's poster. "I'm thankful for my mom. She works hard and loves me. She makes me feel safe. She's always there. That's what matters most." Rebecca hung the poster on the refrigerator, where she could see it every day. This was redemption, not Marcus's eventual apology, but Emma's simple, certain love. The knowledge that despite everything, she protected her daughter and built a good life. In December, 2 years after the custody hearing, Rebecca received formal notice that Marcus had terminated his parental rights. He'd met someone new, was starting a new family, and wanted to close the chapter with Emma. The lawyer asked if Rebecca wanted to contest it. "No," she said simply. Emma had barely seen Marcus in 2 years. She'd adjusted. This formality wouldn't change anything except paperwork. She told Emma gently, framing it as Daddy moving on with his life, but always wishing her well. Emma took it surprisingly well. "Okay, can we make cookies?" "Sure, sweetie." They spent the afternoon baking, and Emma never mentioned Marcus again. Spring arrived again, bringing warmth and new growth. Emma was about to turn 10, a milestone that felt significant. Rebecca planned a special celebration, a weekend camping trip with Emma and Sofa's family. Something Emma had been begging for. They pitched tents, roasted marshmallows, told stories under the stars. Emma's laughter rang through the night, pure and joyful. "Mom, this is perfect," Emma said as they settled into their sleeping bags. "I'm glad, sweetheart. I don't need fancy stuff. I just need you." Rebecca's heart swelled. "You'll always have me, Em, always." The weekend reminded Rebecca of an important truth. The best things in life weren't expensive or impressive. They were simple moments of connection, love, and presence. Marcus had never understood that. He believed wealth and luxury equaled good parenting. But Emma didn't measure love in dollars. She measured it in time, attention, and reliability. In May, Rebecca's book club read a memoir about surviving narcissistic abuse. During discussion, one member asked Rebecca about her experience. Rebecca shared her story: the marriage, the lies, the custody battle, the rebuilding. How do you stay strong? Someone asked. I didn't always. I fell apart plenty of times. But I had people who reminded me of the truth when I forgot it, that I was enough, that Emma needed me, that love mattered more than money. What would you tell other women in similar situations? Rebecca thought carefully. Trust yourself. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that your instincts are flawed. And remember that showing up matters more than anything else. You don't need to be perfect or wealthy or impressive. You just need to be present. The words felt true as she spoke them. She'd learned them the hard way, but they'd become core beliefs. In June, Emma graduated elementary school, moving on to middle school. At the ceremony, she received multiple awards: academic achievement, citizenship, artistic excellence. Rebecca watched from the audience, bursting with pride. Afterward, Emma ran to her, diploma in hand. We did it, Mom. You did it, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. They hugged tightly. This mother and daughter team who'd weathered storms and come out stronger. That evening, Daniel joined them for a celebration dinner. He'd become a steady part of their lives, someone Emma trusted and Rebecca loved. To Emma, Daniel toasted. And to the amazing woman who raised her. They clinked glasses. Emma, with sparkling cider, and Rebecca felt complete. Contentment. This life she'd built wasn't what she'd planned when she married Marcus. It was better. It was honest, healthy, full of genuine love. Later, after Emma was asleep and Daniel had gone home, Rebecca sat on her balcony one more time, reflecting on the journey. 3 years ago, she'd walked into that courtroom terrified of losing her daughter. Marcus had used every weapon he had: money, lawyers, charm, to try to take Emma away. But he'd lost because he'd misunderstood what mattered. Judge Wells had seen the truth. Emma needed the parent who showed up, not the parent who could afford the most. Rebecca had shown up every single day, for doctor's appointments and parent-teacher conferences, for bedtime stories and homework help, for tears and laughter and ordinary moments that built a life. That consistency had been enough. More than enough. She thought about the moral of her story, the lesson she'd learned and wanted to share. Love isn't measured in money or gifts or grand gestures. Love is measured in presence, in showing up day after day, even when it's hard, in choosing your child's needs over your ego, in building a foundation of trust and security that no amount of wealth can replace. Marcus had learned that lesson too late, if he'd learned it at all. But Rebecca had always known it. She just needed to trust herself enough to act on it. Now, 3 years later, she was raising a confident, happy, thriving daughter. She had meaningful work. She had healthy relationships. She had peace. She'd won not by defeating Marcus, but by being herself steadily, consistently, lovingly. That was the victory. That was the lesson. Show up. Be present. Love genuinely. Everything else is just noise. Rebecca smiled, feeling grateful for the journey that had brought her here, for the pain that had forced her to grow, for the battle that had proven her strength, for the daughter who had given her reason to fight. She went inside, checked on Emma one more time, then climbed into her own bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new joys. But tonight she slept peacefully, knowing she was exactly who she needed to be: a mother, a fighter, a survivor, a woman who had learned that the greatest wealth is love, and the greatest gift you can give a child is simply showing up. Always. The end.